In this episode, directed by Leonard Nimoy, Garnet is Steven Guttenberg, Amethyst is Ted Danson, and Pearl is Tom Selleck, in 3 Gems and a Baby. I'm Victor Frost, and this is Steven Universe Universe. Blizzards. I remember them well. Actually, there was one year that I got stranded in the Providence Place Mall because a blizzard had completely snowed us in, and the whole state was actually declared as under a state of emergency. My dad had to actually drive the minivan to actually through the blizzard to, that's a story for another time. Still, it's been about 8 years since I've so much as seen a snowflake. Not unexpected now that I live in Los Angeles, and 8 years is a long time. 8 years ago, I looked like this. And I made videos like this.
Woo! Yeah!
Oh, how we change. And that's the message we're given at the end of this episode. That people change and grow over time, even the gems. And yeah, that is totally true. It's also handed to us on a silver platter, so really wouldn't be much of a video on my part if I just repeated that. No. Instead, let's look at something different. Epictetus, ancient Stoic philosopher and author of the Enchiridion, is quoted to have said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Epictetus meant this as guidance, that your life can be in your control if you can control yourself. And that's great advice, but as instructive as it is, it's also a really reflective idea. You can learn a lot about a person by how they react. You can learn about their biases, their fears, their desires, just by observation. Because these thoughts and leanings come from our experiences and color our perceptions and subsequent lines of thought. This is the essence of learning. Past experiences shaping future actions. In this episode, the key characters, Greg, Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet, are confronted by a strange and unfamiliar situation. Baby Steven glowing. And they react to it in very different ways. After stating that human babies don't glow, Greg second guesses himself and goes to find Vidalia's book about babies. This shows how unsure of himself he is, since he's willing to question even the obviously right answer. The gems, on the other hand, are sure they have the answer, though none of them can agree on what that answer is. Amethyst, for her part, thinks that it's Rose shapeshifting. Garnet thinks Steven is a fusion, and Pearl believes Rose is trapped, unable to reform and needs to be freed. These reactions reveal each of their biases and are reflective of their particular wheelhouses. You put a sick woman experiencing dizziness in front of an OBGYN, an ENT, and an oncologist, and you'll get suspicions of pregnancy, ear infection, and cancer. In the same way, Amethyst's passion for shapeshifting skews her towards looking at it from a shapeshifting angle. Garnet's expertise in fusion points her in that direction, and I suspect Pearl has some baggage about being trapped at one point or another. They were all wrong, though. You'll often find that biases have a nasty habit of limiting thinking, and that's what happened here. Where the gems were too ready to assume they were right, Greg was too ready to accept that he was wrong. In the end, though, they came to realize and accept their lack of understanding. That this is a brand new thing and that their knowledge might not apply. This, in and of itself, is growth. This was a great episode where every character got a chance to really express themselves visually in a distinct and highly representative way. Greg's song was also really nice. You can definitely feel Rebecca Sugar's voice coming through the lyrics even if you didn't see her perform it at NYCC back in October. But that is that. Now it's time for us to look at the little crumbs of lore, jokes, and inconsistencies sprinkled throughout the episode. You guessed it, it's time for The Bits. I miss weather. I love that fireplace and I really want to make a miniature version of it. Notice how objects being interacted with are visually different from objects that aren't? This is a common thing in animation that Roger Ebert called the FUD flag, since the trees Bugs Bunny hid behind when evading Elmer Fudd looked different from the others. It's caused by the fact that, traditionally, the static backgrounds and foreground animation is done separately, with a single frame of background used for many frames of animation. Thing is, this is actually a wholly stylistic choice in most cartoons these days, since they're done almost entirely digitally. However, Steven Universe is animated and inked by hand, so it retains many of the stylistic quirks of the ways of old. Can I just say how cool an entire episode that's just medium tracking shots of Pearl would be? You know, just her going about her day? Does anybody else want that, or is that just me? Greg's feeling of sadness mixed with envy is palpable here.
We're just here to drop off these gifts.
Damn, Pearl, easy. Messed it by that much. Also, golden years for a grand old time.
Obviously, it's the best gift for a being that can't yet communicate.
Well, maybe you guys could use it to look up what a baby is. Steven! My van! Give me back my baby!
Just to be clear, he is talking about Steven, right?
Good thing we left without any explanation.
Amethyst has a delightful habit of unintentionally cutting to the heart of the issue. Amethyst was a toilet? There is a part of the internet that is very excited about this. This is the best thing ever as far as baby Steven is concerned. I mean, his eyes are so big, he has sclera. This, however, disturbs the crap out of him. Definitely figuratively, maybe literally. The black background and music draw attention to the danger of what Pearl is about to do, and then pans over to baby Steven to disrupt that tension and Pearl's action. The framing of the shot is also symbolic. Starting with the focus on Steven's gem, Rose, we see what Pearl wants. This is then disrupted by the focus shifting to Steven himself, what Rose wanted. Visually, this says, hey, Pearl, don't be selfish. This isn't about you. Something she understands immediately. Clearly, this didn't work out how Greg had envisioned it. Okay, so it's a bit of a stretch, but when I first saw this shot, it reminded me of a Christian nativity scene. Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl would be the three wise men, Greg would be the Virgin Mary, and Steven as the baby Jesus. So that is it for this episode. Steven Universe is on hiatus right now, which means Steven UU is going to be on a reduced schedule. You know, so I can work on my other shows like Behind the Screen, Sounds of the Common, and a new series that, believe it or not, I've already written the scripts for every episode. It's a super short form factor show, think less than a minute per episode. 31 Days of Terminator 2 is also going on, which is fun. In the meantime, if you find yourself antsy during the hiatus, why not check out our handy-dandy hiatus preparedness guide? Or if you like this show and the other stuff we make, maybe consider becoming a contributing member on Patreon? You know, like our latest patron, Ethan Freyer. Thanks, Ethan. Links to both of those up there and in the doobly-doo. With that, I'm Victor Frost, and I will see you next time on Steven Universe. Ciao.